All right, ladies and gentlemen, so good morning to one and all. This is your host, Anchor Shubhajit Ghosh, and it's my humble honor and privilege to welcome all of you over here at the IWMBuzz TV Summit Season 4. Before we get going, I have a quick request for one and all. If you can please kindly keep your mobile phones in silent mode because we don't want to distract any of our speakers over here. So if you can please kindly keep your phones in silent mode. And first of all, thank you so much to all of you for beating the horrendous Mumbai traffic as usual and being with us over here early in the morning. So thank you so much. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to all of you over here at the IWMBuzz TV Summit Season 4. Title partner Z News, co-powered by Dangal TV, Sri Adhikari Brothers Network, Nett Value Media, partners KAANS, White Apple, and an initiative by IWMBuzz Live. You know, ladies and gentlemen, as we all understand, the Indian television industry has seen a massive change in the last few years in terms of content play. While the fiction space has attempted to experiment, old cookies have time and again tasted delicious. News as a segment is yet popular, facing a challenge from social media pertaining to immediacy of information. The web entertainment mushrooming has also impacted content consumption patterns. Sports, of course, has dominated viewership all across. The Indian TV industry is at the threshold of a paradigm shift in the way content is being disseminated and consumed all over the country. In such a scenario, how will the medium actually evolve? How does it get better? How will it actually straddle the imminent changes and face up to challenges to stride into a future where it is still the de facto leader in the realm of Indian entertainment? So, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? What kind of content will work in the future? The best in the TV business come together today to discuss, deliberate, and most importantly, have a proactive conversation and insightful discussion on the future of the industry. So, ladies and gentlemen, can I have a huge round of applause once again for the platform, IWMBuzz TV Summit Season 4, title partner Z News, co-powered by Dangal TV, Sri Adhikari Brothers Network, Nett Value Media, partners KAANS, White Apple. Ladies and gentlemen, the very first keynote address is from somebody truly special, a visionary, a leader in the true sense of the term, a legend indeed. Can I please have the humble honor and privilege of calling up on stage Mr. Shashi Sinha, CEO, India, IPG Mediabrands. He's going to be talking about cracking the code, understanding and targeting TV viewers. Ladies and gentlemen, can I have a bigger round of applause for Shashi sir over here as he joins us on stage. Thank you so much, sir. Always a pleasure to have you, and the stage is all yours.
So good morning, everyone. So it's a good situation first off, so I can say whatever I want to and then go away as normally I do and stir up a controversy. There are few of you, but that's all right. It's better enough to carry the message. So I have a few points. I mean, you know, I was asked by the team to speak on cracking the code, understanding and targeting TV viewers, you know. So this is a very specific topic, but I thought I'll cover far bigger areas since I'm privileged to sit in a spot where my company does what it does in TV, but also because the industry body which I'm involved with, so I have a fair sense of what's happening. And one of the reasons I'm part of the industry body is that it keeps me alive and active because probably I know more than my planners, you know, because I'm visible to what's happening. So I thought to share some insights here. There's no threat to it, but the randomness. But the larger point which I always make, there's a huge amount of juice in television. I always say it. And that's the larger point. Then I go to specifics. You know, people always say TV is dying or dead or whatever. Digital is taking over, and you know, the content was absolutely all bunkum. If you ask me, and I'll explain to you why. I'll shortly get into the details. I'm not saying it only because I'm part of the TV rating body, but I genuinely believe in the power of television. Think about it. The guys who are making money at this point in time, whether it's through, you know, on TV, and then they're applying it to OTT or digital, other TV broadcasters, the big networks. So some of the others, big guys who are investing in OTT are investing. I don't know if they're going to make money ever, but that's a different story. So finally, businesses are run for fundamental reasons. And I think between the Geo network and the Z and the sponsors here and also finally platform will remain television. The CPMs are very low in digital for various reasons which I talk about. So TV is not going to go away, it's going to be profitable. What probably has happened to television is that television has been seen as one mass medium, It's the lowest common denominator medium, and I say it constantly, it's maybe because the way our planners are buying, the way the rating is run, that it's always lowest common denominator. So you look at the mask, you don't look at the top, you don't look at the bottom, and which is why probably the medium suffers from a perception rather than a reality. And which is why people in this room, chances are consumption of television will be far lower than what the average person consumes, because we have not sliced and diced and segmented the medium in many ways. I mean, you talk to any marketer, and they always look at segments. And, they always look at what are the appropriate segments, what are the risk segments, what are the potential segments. But the way TV is, because the only way of measuring television is the rating, and the rating is lowest common denominator, and I'll explain to you why. So I'm sure if the industry gets together, some changes we are making, some changes may take more time. But I'm sure if the industry sees of this, that there is enough juice and there's enough to leverage in this medium, there will be merit in this. So let me get into the specifics of the 7, 8, 9, 10 points which I had. So firstly, as you know, in spite of whatever people say, time spent on television is still very high. It is the highest. So if you look at digital or whatever studies have come out, and including Bach's own study, the baseline which no one puts out for whatever reasons, but television even today at an individual level is 3.5 hours. But if you think about it this way, today, I won't say a flaw, but one of the ways of measuring television is individual. So what happens in individuals, all of you are aware. If not, I'll explain in 30 seconds. That, the meter, the signal is caught by the meter at home for the household viewership, what the household is viewing. But then every viewer who gets in has to press a button. And in my mind, there are a few flaws. I won't say deficiencies, but there's a few flaws with that. So they have created enough checks and balances to ensure that everyone does. There's a buzzer which goes off, all that is fine. But there is a bit of a gap in that. Secondly, the kind of people you allow to get into the homes. A particular kind of people. I'm sure no one in this room will say, we'll allow a meter to home where you have to press the button every time you walk into the house. So, and coupled with that is this whole definition of NCCS. So if you see today, almost 60%, 55% of India is NCCS A and B. NCCS A, which should be the topmost segment, is about A. So all this is masking, the point I was making is making it one whole rather than slicing and dicing the data, which is the flaw in the system. So the point I was making, before I go into these details, is that while individuals is 3.5 hours is meaningless, the actual TV viewership on a daily basis for a home is upwards of 5 hours. Think about it. There's 5 hours and growing. So if you see consumption in the last 5, 6 years, TV consumption has gone up. People keep saying there's erosion because of digital and mobile. That may be so. There's cross-consumption happening, so people are sitting, watching in front of the television and consuming there. And I have a personal hypothesis. I'm pretty sure of my hypothesis, but I'm saying it's my personal hypothesis. India is an auto-directed society, unlike the West. The West are a lot more individualistic. Here, we have family time. We spend together those 2-3 hours in the evening in front of the television as family sitting together. So obviously, there's a lot more interaction happening. There's qualitative interaction, and you may see whatever you want on your device. But what the family watches on television, whether sports or whether serials or whatever it is, or movies. So I think that consumption which you see, 5 hours plus, with the TV is on at home in a day and is growing, it's a clear sign. So the fact of the matter is that, there is definitely, should I say, increased, so the consumption is not going anywhere. That's what the point I'm making. At a macro level, when we start slicing and dicing, I'll put out some points. The second thing which I want to say, everyone says OTT has taken over. And I'll throw certain data points at you. So today, HD is about 70 million homes. And I personally believe HD is one of the most underserviced segments, which for a variety of reasons, broadcast is not exploited. So HD is about 65 to 70 million homes. On the CTV side, which is the premium homes, people throw all kinds of numbers. So people throw, but our estimate is 35 million is the number. Now the fun part is that these are premium homes, these are homes which probably chances are people like us in the room are. The fun part is that there are very few people who are just watching on CTV. Everyone throws numbers, but our survey, I mean, everyone talks numbers, but the baseline which BARC has done, a 3 lakh plus sample, is a large sample. And our estimate is that the cord cutters, so to speak, are very small percentage. I'm not putting a number to it because there's still debate happening, but it will be sub 15% in that range. So think about it. So you have access to content coming in both from either a cable or a DTH connection and a digital connection, whether there's internet or whatever. So there are those, so technically speaking, HD has a better reach in those homes. So if first the numbers, so there won't be more than 10 million homes which are, so to speak, cord cutters where they don't get television at all through the DTH or whatever. That's our estimate. So you have a situation where you have a play of, should I say, 60, 70 million homes of HD, which are, and the CTV homes are probably almost 70%, 75%, if not more. CTV homes are subsumed within that. The problem is the content. The problem is that today, because the way the metering system is explained to is designed, catching those HD homes for ratings is very difficult. And consequently, people are broadcast not putting out content. So it's a bit of a chicken and egg. They're not putting out content for HD, and as a result, you don't capture the ratings. Ratings, in any case, you don't capture because those people, the homes are not there, the meters are not there in those homes. So all this put together has led to an under-serviced market. And it comes alive true in the case of cricket, IPL. We see it. We see, so, and I've said this many times and I'm repeating today, BARC, while it doesn't put out the data, runs a very small panel of about 10,000 individuals, 15,000 individuals who also we monitor concurrent measurement, which is what are they watching on digital and what are they watching on television. You'll be surprised because it's obvious that cricket is about a big screen thing. In-home consumption is very, very high on big screen. So if I extrapolate these two data points of HD and this, now I'll make one more point and I'll make one more comment, and I'm slightly complicated. If I'm going all over, please correct me. So many categories in India are underpenetrated. Look at cars. So today, if HD is 70 million homes, and if you look at auto penetration will not be more than 8 to 10%, 10, 11% is what it is. So if you're looking at a premium car, if you're not looking at first-time buyers, chances your audience is not more than, 6, 7 million homes. That's your HD audience. But I rarely see, today everyone talks CTV. Rightly so, I'm not saying that, But the CTV which you're buying, you can't take advertising on Netflix, on Amazon Prime, you can't do advertising. So what you're buying is a long tail, But quick build-up of reach when you're doing a launch will happen on HD. The flaw is that we are not giving out the ratings in the right manner. So if you see, this is the point I was making about segmentation. There's huge scope for segmentation, and if you start segmenting, from our side, we are doing what we can. I keep talking about it. I've been pushing the team very, very hard to launch the premium panel. It's taking time. It's not easy to recruit premium homes, allowing people to come into the premium homes, but hopefully we'll get it going, and hopefully we'll see a big turnaround. I mean, I'm extremely optimistic. One of the reasons I do the job, it's a thankless job, people are at you all the time. So I see it as a big opportunity that if all this which I have said gets triangulated into the premium homes, and once you start capturing those ratings in those premium homes, and then you'll find that, broadcasters will start putting that content, which is for those homes, and automatically things will happen. Now, my point to very senior broadcasters, heads of organizations, has been, why don't you put your OTT content here? I mean, you're putting it, do a delay, do it 15 days later, do it 10 days later. In any case, the money which you're making is a pittance, it's not big enough for you to recover. So at least you get viewership here. We are not measuring, but intuitively people will have a feel that this program is doing well on HD. So that's one large thought which I want to leave with. The second larger thought, which is an issue from our side, which is from the advertising agency side, we have not looked at the size of segments in this country. Some of you must be space sellers here, I don't know if they are, but if you go to any agency, the discussion is only on two things, Sometimes is percentage reach. No one talks of absolute reach, no one talks of what those absolute numbers are in the relevant audience. Most often they're not just percentage reach. It has no meaning, what is percentage reach? And the second, which is the most predominant discussion, is CPRP. What is the cost per rating point? Yeah. So in reverse order. So CPRP is what the predominant discussion is, and these are flawed. So if you are a marketeer, and if you are looking at, segments and looking at markets, you probably start saying, listen, this is my market. Why am I looking at HSM? Because it's so easy to cover HSM. I start slicing and dicing the segments. I look at reach. So for some market, UP is a very big market. For someone else, Gujarat may be a very big market. Both are considered HSM. So I said, listen, if I start looking at sizing the market, this is my market size, and this is the cost I'm going to spend on that. It doesn't matter whether CPRP or not. So I'm not saying suddenly change the method to CPT or whatever. That's a separate discussion. But today we are so caught up in this whole buying television as lowest common denominator, selling television as lowest common denominator, buying television as lowest common denominator. So the larger point I'm saying, even within the existing framework, there's possibility to look at segments. People do. People look at easy ones like, looking at states like Andhra and Tamil Nadu, but within that you can start looking at segments. And if you start looking at segments, you will see there'll be better realization. Automaker doesn't necessarily have to spend all his money on HSM. Probably the same money he'll spend, budget's not going to change. He'll get better effectiveness and probably better sales up there. The larger point, which is in continuation of these segments, is, is the point today the another way, and people are not exploiting back. Some advertisers do, mostly don't. They just blindly go by what. So we do planning. Think about it. NCCS A is the definition. It's the same definition for an automaker. It's the same definition for a toothpaste guy. There's no difference. Don't you think the purchase behavior or consideration is different when you're buying a car and different when you're buying a toothpaste? Don't you think so? But from a planning point of view, it's all NCCS A or AB or whatever it is, So we had done this interesting exercise with Amazon, which people don't know. It cost a little bit of time and money, but it's a very fabulous exercise which we did. And if some of you worked with our agency in terms of buying, you would have understood what we should do. Forget the buying part, but from a planning point, what we would do. Amazon, when they came into the country, we worked with them for 10, 11 years, maybe more. And they said, who are the initial, who are going to be the initial buyers? And this project we did was a global first. It was recognized all over the world by what we did with them. So we went back. Using BARC's capability to say if BARC that time, I don't remember, but when we did this exercise, today BARC is about 50,000 homes. It was probably 25, 30,000 homes when we did the exercise. We went back and plotted in many metros the consumption of BARC. So the BARC team went back and plotted consumption of internet and online shopping at that point in time, and what was, what was their behavior. And we created a grid and we created a formula. So we would actually get data on those homes. So there may be similar homes, they may be all NCCS homes. Suppose Amazon said, I'm making it up. Amazon said in Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, I'm talking of the launch time, first 5-6 years of Amazon, that we are looking at NCCS homes. Now NCCS homes are different profiles. So they had sliced and diced into, if I remember, 8 segments. And those 8 segments, when they did a recontact with those homes. And they said the 8 segments, if you have looked at, you would find that the consumption of a potential online shopper, or who could be my target out of those 8, 2 or 3 segments, their propensity of television is different. And if those of you who did buying, you would realize that a conventional NCCS A buyer versus what Amazon used to buy should be different, because while they may negotiate within a particular way, but actually they were using that data. That was a full grid created, and for 4-5 years they used it till, of course, they expanded to every pin code in India. But till that time, so there was a fair degree of segmentation done there using this data. And you'd be amazed to know the channel choices were dramatically different. So a lot what we call our niche channels actually would come up for each. I was doing, so that brings me to the next segment, Hopefully we'll make it happen one day if the pulls and pressures are not there. So today, this whole NCCS definition that I alluded to earlier is a bit of a, lowest common denominator, because 60% of India is AB, or 55, whatever the number is, and A is maybe 25%. And everyone says that people are going away from news onto digital. News is available, on the mobile. All that is true. I'm not debating it. And therefore, whoever watches television, it's a bit of a chicken and egg, which I alluded to earlier. So whoever watches news on television is a particular profile, and therefore our content of that, or our shouting and screaming, is all delivering to that content. So what Market Research Society of India has done, and they are the apex body who do this about 6 months back, they have created what they call a new definition, because NCC is slightly faulty. NCC is not faulty, but let me know, it's the wrong word. NCCS is non-discriminatory. So what happens is it's on 11 or 10 durables, and almost everyone has those 8, 9 durables. So there's no difference between a particular profile and another profile. So if they've gone back to the original SEC, what they're calling ISEC. So the SEC is a nice definition where it's a combination of basically socio-economic class, so education, occupation. But what they've interestingly done is they've also added a filter of the education of the women of the house. So that's the big filter, you know. And so we have been doing some pilots and experiments on that in the BARC data. Suddenly you find, you know, this whole discriminatory thing which I'm talking about, that there are no segments, it suddenly comes up. So without going into details, because the mass broadcasters will kill me if I say it publicly, but I'm sure smart enough to make out, you know, if you see your own habits, if you see what you consume, you know, you'll suddenly see. So for certain segments, fine segments, you know, news is as much reach, as much time spent as general entertainment. Well, I'm saying something very shocking. So it may be a very fine segment. It may be very thin. Now, intuitively, if you see top-end automakers, what do? They do it intuitively. The data is not there. But if you start looking at this way, you find that, there is so, hopefully, if all the broadcast fraternity and the advertising fraternity come together and say, listen, there's merit in looking at segments. So what I propose, and hopefully we'll do it, whenever we launch the premium panel will not be on NCCS, we'll launch it on ISEC. So at least those who use the premium panel can make out how we are slicing and dicing the data. So these were some of the few points. Let me see if I missed out anything. You know, my problem is I always write for 7, 8 points and I ramble. I don't look at my notes. Well, I said most of it, but I think the larger point is this whole chicken and egg which I spoke about, you know, because we are not slicing, dicing the data, the broadcasters are looking at quarterly revenues and they're therefore looking at the bulge or the lowest common denominator. If we start slicing and dicing and we start giving them segments, chances are the TV will open up. And like I said, the basic thing is that consumption on TV, if you see total time spent in homes, has not come down. In fact, it's increasing over the last 5, 6 years. It may be increasing marginally, but it is going up. So television is on in the home at any point in time, and the numbers are huge. 5 hours, one of the highest consumption of TVs in the world. 5 hours plus household consumption, you won't find it anywhere else in the world. And I go back to the point which I started by saying that don't forget we are not going to change. You know, we are auto-directed society, we are family bonding, we are in it together, you know, we are not individualistic. So we will see whatever personal content we want on the mobile, you know, that is fine. And it gives you speed of response. But that family bonding which happens when you sit in front of the television together watching a movie or watching whatever serial or watching sports. And the other thing which is very important, which I close with, you see India's sport consumption is very limited. If you see most of the world, 7%, I mean in India it's about 5-6%, globally at least 10% is sports consumption of television or of content consumption. And the reason for that is in India there's only one sport, which is cricket. So there's only that much you can consume, you know. I'm very confident this will go up. And sport all over the world. As more sport opens up, you've seen what's happened to Olympics, your new stars coming in, other sports are coming in, badminton, others, so on and so forth, global sports. You know, you find that sports all over the world is a big TV consumption. The consumption of, we are seeing it ourselves, you know, like I said, when we are in those homes, 12,000 homes where we are monitoring, by the way, BARC also monitors out-of-home consumption. So when we see family consumption, out-of-home consumption, and digital consumption concurrently for IPL, which is the biggest, highest rating property, you find that TV does extremely well, you know. So I think as sport grows, you will find TV. So my closing thought is that there is, you know, a lot of chatter for the right reasons around OTT and around digital. And because the way it is, digital is so cheap in India, you know, as you see, finally you can only sustain up to a certain point. IPL was free as an entry strategy for 2 years. Now suddenly the stock of IPL digital being paid, you have to subscribe. So obviously things will change, you know. So it is one of the cheapest markets in the world. If you apply purchasing power parity to our distribution system, to our advertising system, television is the cheapest medium. It will be very difficult to dislodge it. Consumption is going up. What broadcasters have to do at an appropriate, and we have to aid them, but what broadcasters and planners and everyone has to do is start looking at segments, start mining the data, and there are many ways to do it. Not only BARC, like I gave you the Amazon example, there are many ways to do it, and there's huge potential. So thank you for your time. And thank you for hearing me patiently. Cheers.
Thank you so much, sir. Honor and privilege to hear you. I'll request you to please kindly wait on stage. And can we have a bigger round of applause for Shashi, sir, please, everybody. Thank you so much. Early in the morning in Mumbai, we want that energy. And on that note, I'll also request Janardhan Pandey, founder, Nett Value Media, and director, Meteor Media, to please kindly come up on stage and hand over the token of appreciation to Shashi, sir. Please give it up, everybody, for Janardhan, sir, as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment you need to truly appreciate and clap. Thank you so much. What a wonderful moment indeed. Thank you so much, Shashi, sir. Thank you so much, Janardhan, sir, for coming and doing the honors.